Hello everyone, this is Vortex, and in this video I'm going to talk about the Fire Temple. Now the Fire Temple is the second dungeon that adult Link visits during Ocarina of Time. It is located in Death Mountain Crater, deep within the core of Death Mountain. It is only accessible by adult Link due to the heat. The Fire Temple seems to be mainly used by the Gorons as a shrine honoring the fire spirits. Link travels to that mountain in search of the fire sage, but what he finds instead is an empty Goron city. The Gorons were taken by Ganondorf as prisoners in order to feed them to Volvagia as a warning to those who might oppose him. Now Darunia's son informs Link that Darunia went to the Fire Temple in an attempt to save everyone, but he asks Link to aid his father. In order for Link to even enter the temple though, he is given the heat-resistant tunic known as the Goron tunic, which helps Link survive the heat within Death Mountain and the Fire Temple. The history of the Fire Temple goes back a long way. Long ago, the ancient Gorons used this shrine to pray to the fire deity. It is possible that the totem pole-like statue found all over the Fire Temple symbolizes this dungeon's patron deity. The statue is never mentioned, however, but it is seen quite often throughout the temple. The temple is adorned with decorational patterns, walls with inscribed words, and various statuettes. The temple seems to be a bit different from the typical primitive Goron style of building though, which makes it a mystery whether the Gorons actually built this temple or not. There's another interesting tidbit about the location of the Fire Temple and its shape. Notice how on the map the temple looks like it's located in two domes. Does this remind you of anything? Spectacle Rock perhaps? Spectacle Rock is a recurring landmark in the Zelda series. In Ocarina of Time it seems to be located inside Death Mountain Crater in front of the entrance to the Fire Temple. Its appearance is cone-shaped and very steep. The only way to get up there is by using the magic bean plant. It is evident from its structure and that of the Fire Temple that the upper floors of the Fire Temple extend into the interior of these two mountain peaks. Now we can find various jail cells within the temple. This seems to be very out of place if the Fire Temple was indeed just a place of worship for the Gorons. This is why I believe that the Fire Temple has been repurposed to a prison, housing the remains of Volvagia, the fire deity, but also having a second use. The Fire Temple is first and foremost the shrine and prison of the dragon Volvagia. Ages prior to the events of the game, Volvagia, a mighty dragon, lived inside that mountain. It was honored as the fire spirit by the Gorons, but over time the dragon went corrupt and started to torture the Goron tribe. The dragon was so powerful that if it would escape from the temple, Hyrule would become a burning wasteland. So, armed with a Megaton hammer, the hero of the Gorons traveled into the depths of that mountain and fought Volvagia to the death. The Goron emerged victorious, and his story went down into legend. The Megaton hammer that he wielded was placed in the Fire Temple until it was needed again. Volvagia has been dead a long time before the start of the war, and wasn't revived until after this war. The damage caused by the fight between the Goron hero and Volvagia can still be seen. There are many destroyed and misplaced pillars, and a lot of platforms are missing. However, there are a lot of smaller cells visible within the temple. Link rescues the Gorons from these cells, and they give him advice in return. It seems a bit odd though that these holding cells are so small and so numerous, if the Fire Temple is mostly a place of worship and a testament to the defeat of Volvagia. This is why I believe that the Fire Temple was also used during the Hyrulean Civil War. According to the Decretary Sprout, the war took place before the King of Hyrule unified the country. Link was taken to Kokiri Forest during this war when he was a baby, so it was still a fairly recent event. We know that during this war, the various tribes and races in Hyrule were at war with each other. The war was quite brutal, evidenced from the walls in the Shadow Temple. The Gorons could have used the Fire Temple as a holding cell for the people they captured during this war. This would explain why the cells seem to be shaped to house smaller creatures like Hylians. The Gorons would hold people in cells and perhaps even dispose of them by throwing them into the various lava pits. Due to the intolerable heat, the Fire Temple is relatively impassable by anyone besides Gorons, which would make it a very difficult place to conquer. The only reason Link is able to enter is because he is gifted a tunic by the son of Darunia. The Fire Temple's original purpose as a shrine to honor the fire deity has been lost. Instead, it is now a place of worship for the hero of the Gorons, because he defeated the dragon Volvagia. Since Darunia is a descendant of this hero, it makes sense for him to be the Sage of Fire.